The Bengston Method is actually quite simple. You just connect and cycle. However, cycling is a big process that you have to learn to do, and connection, there's a gazillion ways to connect. Today, I'm going to teach you how to kind of loosen up your way to connect using the mitochondria. All right, enjoy. All right, so today I want to talk about a playful way to connect that might not have occurred to you. And I'm sure that this way comes from my years of being, a health professional and like all but dissertation in neurophysiology. And it's easy for me to visualize inside the body. So I'll try to keep this simple for anybody that just might have gone through 8th grade biology and you vaguely remember what a cell looks like. All right, so now what does this have to do with healing? So as you know, I work with the Bengston Method, and I can distill the Bengston Method into just 2 parts. You connect and you cycle. If you're in person, you connect with your hands, hands-on healing. If you're over a distance, you connect astrally with your imagination or your other ways of doing astral stuff. But imagination's a basic way. And there are infinite ways to connect, all right? There's infinite ways to touch. If you're in person, there's infinite ways to touch if you're not in person. So since this is a group distance healing, we're going to talk about a playful way to touch over the distance in your imagination. I'm going to show you a simple, we're going to practice like an embodiment practice where you actually feel in your body how different ways of connecting with your Healy feel different in your body, all right? And that'll be cool. All right, at least I think it will be. All right, good. So this is going to be about the cells, and a little while ago, I talked about mitochondria. And mitochondria are these little powerhouses inside our cells, and they are probably the physical organ of life force, the chi of our body, the energy of the body. And of course it's more than just the mitochondria, but they're a big part of it. When your mitochondria aren't perky-jerky, you feel tired and your immune system doesn't work very good. Just a host of things start not working very well. So sometimes with cancer, the tendency is to focus in on the tumor, or if you've got a blood cancer, the hot spot or the nodule, the hot spot of a tumor. Even if it's a blood tumor, there's these hot spots, and we're focusing on the disease. But one of the axioms is that you don't want to focus on the disease. I mean, you can take a peek at the disease and look at it, but in general, over the course of like a half-hour treatment, you want to spend 90% of the time focusing on the whole person or the whole animal. And I think that this mitochondria meditation might help us do that, all right? Because it gets you deep, it gets you intimate, but it doesn't bypass the body. 'Cause sometimes we bypass the body and that doesn't work as well. And how do you, okay, so, all right. So there's lots of, there's actually, I was talking about, you can physically connect with your hands, you can astrally connect. In my octave resonance healing approach, you can also connect with your life force, and you can also connect with your spirituality or your higher awareness. So life force would be if you're just around somebody, you're not touching them, so maybe you're off the body. You can connect an inch or 2 off the body where your life force and their life force are interpenetrating. That's a valid form of connection, even though it's not hands-on, it's hands a little bit off, all right? So that's one way to do it. And then spiritual connection is a little different than imagination, because it's usually not as volitional unless you're a spiritual adept. But for people that aren't spiritual adepts that just need some help. It can come in the form of dreaming about somebody, which is still kind of astral a little bit, but there's a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose, a sense of destiny, a sense of timeless love. That's a way to feel it, feel the spiritual connection. It's like way beyond the feeling of love. It's just this connection of love that's not a feeling, it's a knowing. So that would be spiritual. So it's okay to connect any of these ways, and usually, the fuller the connection, the more octaves you employ, the fuller the experience can be. Although you can just connect with one little way and it'll be exactly what they need. So don't worry that you can't always touch your person, or that you don't feel spiritually connected to your animal or something. Although most of us are very spiritually connected to our animals. Okay, so let's see. So when would I use this technique that I'm going to show you? So a lot of my clients, they're trying to work holistically with their cancer. And so they think of intergenerational trauma. They think of how they have to forgive their mother or their father or their husband. There's a lot of forgiveness involved. And a lot, especially women, but sometimes sensitive men too, but it's a tendency in women and it's almost an exception in men, is just it's like you're processing other people's stuff through your body unconsciously. It's not that you're that loving, it's that you kind of are energetically open, and your trauma is not even your own that you're processing. So that's very kind and generous of you, even though it's not conscious, but sometimes the curing of the cancer tightens up those boundaries, so we're no longer just, trying to heal the world while we, unconsciously, of course. I think consciously nobody wants to, very few people want to heal the world with their bodies. That's kind of daunting to most people. Let's see. So when there's these kind of intergenerational, other people involved issues that my client is saying, I feel like this is part of what caused my cancer, I like to use this lens of the mitochondria. So what are the mitochondria? So the mitochondria are little organelles in our cells. So we have the cell, which has a cell wall. It has a nucleus where the DNA is. And then out in the cytoplasm, we have these little organelles, and they are, one of them is the mitochondria. There's a bunch of others. And these mitochondria they produce the ATP, which is the energy in our body, right? Takes the energy from our food, uses some vitamins and minerals that we eat, and it generates energy. And then we use that energy for all our bodily processes, for our metabolic rate, to warm ourselves, to fuel our muscles, to do all sorts of things. Now, the interesting things about the mitochondria is that they are matrilineal. They are passed from mother to child, mother to daughter, and mother to son. So everybody on this earth has their mothers, their grandmothers, their great-grandmothers, genetic stuff in their mitochondria, and it's different than their own DNA, their individual DNA that you could clone and do all those genetic manipulations with. The mitochondria are almost like bacteria living in us. They're like different. They grow inside us, but they're not genetically us. They're genetically our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers and our great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmothers. So just kind of take that in and just realize that that's what science tells us. That's what biology tells us. And just sort of feel that you have your mother. Not only were you born out of your mother, but her mother and her mother and her mother and her mother. Okay? Good. And I don't know what happens in test tube babies. How does that work? Don't know how that works. Yeah, okay, I just figured it out, but I won't go into that. He came almost quickly. All right. So what would happen if we're doing the Bengston Method, we're doing distance healing, if we were to not just connect to that person as a general thing, like, okay, there's Suzanne over there. I'm, sending her energy, which you're not supposed to do. You're just supposed to witness. But I'm witnessing Suzanne over there and having it just be sort of vague. What if we were to drill in our perceptive apparatus and connect with our Healy's mitochondria? So how do we do this? We got 3 minutes. Okay, so let's imagine that you can connect to one mitochondria. So pretend like you have somebody, it could be yourself or somebody that you care about, and they're like over there, and you're imagining that you can see inside their cells, go deeper, deeper, deeper until you're a small person and you can witness a whole cell, and there's their mitochondria. There's a cell and their beautiful mitochondria floating around in this cell. And connect to it. And if you know how to cycle, cycle. And now come out a little bit and notice there's like 4 or 8 cells with all their mitochondria. And now zoom out till there's like 20 cells, and now they're becoming to look like dots. And now you got a couple hundred cells, and now they're really almost gone. Now you're up and up and up and up until you're looking at like an outline or a picture of their body, and you just know that the mitochondria are in there. Kind of like how we image cycle, right? We sort of know that the pictures are in there, even though we're not seeing them anymore. But we're connected to them. So just sort of look at that image that you have. It's almost like, when I do it, it's almost like my heart is linking to their mitochondria. It's not because my mind, I can't see them anymore in my imagination. It's just an inner knowing that I'm connected to their mitochondria. All right, and I'm cycling. And I'm not trying to fix them, I'm just trying to connect to them. Because I can connect to any aspect of somebody, and we're just playing with this way of connecting. Okay, so now let that drop. Oh, notice how that feels before you let it drop. Now let it drop. And now let's still see them over there. Don't connect to their mitochondria, and connect to their soul. Whatever that means for you. Just cycle, spin, and connect to their soul. For me, it's almost like the difference between cycling with images and without images. To me, the mitochondria have more traction. I think because it's more connected to something biological, and we're trying to heal the body. But it's not staring at the tumor. It's not staring at the big scary problem. It's sort of affirming their whole powerhouse of, like, you could connect to somebody's blood, you could connect to their bones, you could connect to like a million things in a person, but we're doing mitochondria now. Okay, good. So back and forth and back and forth. And there's not a right or wrong. There's nothing right about doing mitochondria or the soul. It's like art. Sometimes you use blue, sometimes you use yellow in your painting. It matters a lot, but you use awareness, not rules. It's not a little paint by number thing. All right, so that's the teaching. Hopefully you learned that connection isn't just one thing. We might have developed a little ritual, a little pattern of connecting, which might actually stop working over time. So I wanted to change it up with this sort of what I consider advanced way of connecting. So it's not advanced, it's just another way to do it. And I'd invite you to experiment during the formal healing session, which we're going to do now in just a minute or two. And if you couldn't tell the difference, I would say watch the video again, or just do the exercise when you have more time to just sink into the experience of, what does it feel like in my body when I focus on their mitochondria and cycle? And now what does it feel like when I focus on their tumor, their cancer, and cycle? Now what does it feel like when I focus on their aura? And now focusing on their soul. Now focusing on their past, present, future. Like there's just infinite ways to focus on somebody, and every single kind of focus gives me a different physical response. I sense it in my body, and you can sense it however you sense it. But it's a great drill to practice. It really makes your you practice come alive because you're getting feedback in your body, and you're not believing that you're healing them. You're actually, oh, that feels a little different, and you're exploring, you're curious, you're engaged, and that's what it takes to do the healing. Okay, so if you're watching this later on YouTube, just know that I'm going to be going into a private guided visualization now, where members of the Spirit Gate Cancer Support Facebook group join me every week, and we do a group distance healing. You just heard the teaching portion of the event, and please like and subscribe, comment, and if you're in the Facebook group watching this, go over to YouTube and do the same.